Hi, welcome to the Coffee Chat Show here on Buzzin Pattaya, the show where we talk about things that are happening right here, right now, as well as general news, tips, information and advice. And guys, welcome back to part 2. Look who's with me. Paul, how you doing, my man?
Good.
We don't look like we've moved.
No, I know, it's just...
You haven't aged at
all.
No,
well, that's the it's these new cameras.
Oh, I don't know, because I look terrible, but you still look pretty damn good. I'm not happy about that.
Well, I was going to, the sun's beating down on you,
Well, that's probably what it is. See, the sun's like making you look younger, and obviously I'm in the shade.
Well, I would just meant I've got a bit of protection, mate.
Oh, that hurt, didn't it? That hurt. Flipping now. See what I mean? I've known him years. He's having a pop at me barnet. You know what I mean? Now, in part 1, if you didn't see part 1, have a look. There is a link in the description below where we spoke about Paul's journey from being a young lad that was an avid Cotton Eye Joe fan. Then he decided to blow Coldplay out and said, you're not good enough. And then eventually you came over here. I mean,
I did, yeah. I burnt my musical bridges,
I was going to say, an interesting journey to get out here. And if you didn't see it, guys, check it out. It's funny. So you're here now. You're in Pattaya. You've been here 17 years.
Coming up for, yeah.
And you came over here and you started off your career here in the TV world, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And what were you doing?
So, yeah, I mean, I got a job reading the news on TV. So, at the time, so Pattaya Mail had Pattaya Mail TV, so they would take their news stories and they had video of, the accident or and it could be in Pattaya Sports Club prize giving or whatever, or the mayor opening a new envelope. And I would do the voiceovers for that. And then it slowly progressed to me doing interviews. And then in time, I became the production manager. So, I had a team of editors, organising the camera crew, scheduling with the different events that were going on and working out who was going to do that. And then putting that all together. So I ended up having like 3 or 4 people doing voiceovers for me.
Yeah.
Because I was predominantly on screen, along with a bunch of other people. So, and we tried to sort of mix it up,
You mentioned there that you were doing stuff with the mayor. What was his name again? I can't remember now.
The mayor?
Yeah.
Well, so yeah, the mayor was Kuniran Watana Sasaton.
I didn't get that. Say again.
Niran Watana Sasaton. But I just worked out how to say it, and he got replaced by the first Kun Plume. What's his name? Itapon Kun Plume.
Yeah.
And actually, I have to tell you, I was doing a gig for the Hard Rock Hotel, and they do this thing called Pinktober, and it's a very worthy cause. It's about raising awareness about breast cancer.
Okay.
And they do it in October, so it's Pinktober, right? Like now we know about Movember, right? The moustache in November. So I was doing my opening, and my cameraman said to me, he said, "Cut." I said, "What, have I messed it up?" He said, "No." He said, "Look, there's some ladyboys that arrived from Tiffany's or something. I don't know why, right?" And he said, "Let's get them in the opening shot." So we did the opening shot with them, so it looked a bit more glamorous rather than just my ugly mug. And I finished the intro, and Itapon Kumplum with the mayor was standing beside, he was just watching, and I knew that I'd have to interview him, etc. And he's a nice enough guy. And he came up to me and he said, "Well, he says, they're not going to get breast cancer, are they?" Off camera. And I said, "Yeah, but breast cancer is something that can affect men as well." And then I said it and I thought, is that true or not? And apparently it is, right? But I just, as soon as I said it, I thought, am I right? Am I right or not? And then the mayor was opening the event, and this isn't just something that can affect women. I thought, my God, he's quoting me. So I was like, but anyway, apparently I was right, but yeah.
I bet you were sitting there thinking, oh my Lord, please be right, please be right.
Well, I don't mind. I don't mind making offence to the British, like the ambassador or whatever like that. But
out here's a different kettle of fish.
With the Lord Mayor, I'll keep myself in place. Thank you.
I mean, you spent a long time here interviewing so many people. I mean, is there any people in particular that you look back and think, do you know what, that was a great crack? Or is there any interviews where you thought, oh, I really don't want to do that, and suddenly it just explodes into one of your best interviews you've had?
Oh, I mean, there's many, right? One that comes to mind was when Howard was running Pattaya 1, and he was also the honorary consul here in Pattaya. And he called me up and he said, listen, he said, the new ambassador, who was the charge d'affaires, right? So it's like the underdog, has been promoted and he's coming to Pattaya. And he says, so you're the man to interview him. I said, well, you've got your own TV company. He said, no, please. He said, I think, you'd be the person to do it. So I started the interview and I did the usual, meeting. I said to him, so what's the nature of your visit today? He said, well, I'm here to meet the chief of police and the head of immigration, all this sort of stuff. And I said, well, congratulations on your very recent promotion to being the ambassador, Your Excellency. I said, however, I'm wondering if you can just clarify the situation for our, I think we had about 70,000 viewers at the time. I said, because on your website it says that your job is to protect the interests of British nationals working and residing in Thailand. I said, I think I've got about 70,000 viewers who know that you haven't done that.
Oh.
And he knew what I was talking about. There was this British guy who'd been locked up.
Yes. Yeah,
and he said, well, I can't discuss certain cases. I said, yeah, but you can tell us what you can do, what you can't do. And he said, but if someone doesn't want our help, I said, but you're making out you're a guardian. I said, I've got a young son. If he goes to put his hand on the barbecue, do I just let him do it? Or as his guardian, do I protect him? And he said, thanks for the interview. So it was literally as short as that. It was like 2 minutes long.
Wow.
And Howard was like, the ambassador stormed off. Howard was looking at me like, what the hell have you done? I put it on TV and I had people stopping me on the street and going, good man, for calling him out,
Fair show.
But yeah, a lot of fun interviews over the years. I mean, I don't know. I mean, literally, I have no idea how many.
Oh, you've got to have done thousands. I remember.
Probably.
Do you remember the TFI events?
Yeah, sure.
Do you actually remember them?
Yeah. That's it. Yeah, TFI. So.
But you were hilarious at these places because, like, the one thing I've always liked about you, you've got that. That infectious grin, when you, especially when you've had a few of them, like you walk around and you just see you over there, like you come up, hello mate, this big happy grin, and you were always full of life.
Well, you see, you've got this natural, happy, outgoing thing. For me, it needs a little bit of juicing up, I guess. I
just look in the mirror and think I need to do something. I mean, in terms of like interviews, now obviously you talked about a serious interview to him. Okay, fair play, and you did what you did, and respect for that.
Yeah.
But you've also had some pretty glamorous, I would probably say,
sure.
the best way. Some pretty glamorous interviews as well, haven't you?
Yeah, sure. The Maxim, which is like a gents magazine, like a lifestyle magazine, they were doing a competition for their international model, the top model. And we were invited along to it. It was at the Amari, and went along. And you don't know if you're going to get access to these girls, right? And I mean, obviously they're absolutely beautiful, and they look kind of untouchable. You know what I mean? Like there's no way they're going to give you an interview. So of course, you perhaps overindulge with the hospitality. Bottles of Chivas or whatever, and I once interviewed the Whalers, I'll tell you about that. But so I got a bit sauced up.
Yeah.
And then this girl, she's available for an interview, and her name was Rachel Cordonley, and she was just gorgeous, and she was quite a healthy girl, if you understand. Right?
You mean if she fell over, she'd bounce back up?
She was just infectious. She was from Liverpool. She had such a character, and I was inebriated when I did the interview. But she'd had far more than me, which is evident. I mean, these videos are still kicking about on YouTube.
Yeah, we'll put a link to that because I've got a link for that interview because it was hilarious.
It was fun, yeah.
You were like bright red, grinning like a Cheshire cat. She was just like plastered and just laughing and joking. And I noticed she kept touching you. Every 2 seconds she kept touching you.
She was very tactile. Yeah.
I was jealous.
Yeah, well, my wife at the time was standing behind the cameraman, with her gun, like that sort of thing. Anyway, so, but yeah, and that night, you know, so it finished like at midnight, and my boss, Peter Malhotra, called me and he said, Paul, he said, look, Fashion TV are in town. And I, oh, okay. I said, well, you know, my mum and dad are coming across from Scotland tomorrow. He said, no, it's tonight. I want you to go to the gig tonight. I said, what do you mean? There's no more tonight. It's finished. He said, look, the police patrol boat are going to pick you up and take you onto the yacht. I mean, it sounds really glamorous, right? So we go there, and then, you know, we meet the owner, the founder of Fashion TV, and you know, we met these beautiful models or whatever. I don't think we got to interview the models. They didn't actually speak any English. So
were you still able to speak English at that time after all those sherbets?
I think I'd sort of I'd calmed down by then, you know. But I think my most famous interview was the international queens, Tiffany's. So they bring in the international queens, and I wanted to. And I remember Barry, who's another local TV guy who people will know, and he said to me, what are you going to ask these guys? And I said, well, first of all, I'll be polite. I said, but I'm going to do what I always do. I'm going to ask the questions that the viewers want to know. And he said to me, well, what do they want to know? I said, they'd want to know, do they still have a ding-a-ling or not? And he said, you can't ask that. I said, you can. I said, but you've got to find a way to ask it. So, and this is serious, right? So I interviewed about like 12 of them. What a job, eh? And I addressed the question about the acceptance of transgenders and transsexuals in different societies. So, like, for instance, in Thailand, we think they're accepted because they're on TV, you know, they can work in insurance offices and 7-Eleven and everything. But is that the reality? You know?
Okay.
So I interviewed them, but then I used that to get them into their comfort zone so they were communicating. And then I would, you know, compliment them on the work they did and then ask them, so have you had the full job? Don't make any joke about job. And so one of the ones that I interviewed was this girl called Jenna Takalova.
Right.
Not a joke name. And anyway, so we put it out on air, and then it was about 8 months later, my boss called me up and he said, this video has gone viral. So she was Canadian and she'd applied to do the Miss Canada pageant as a woman. And Donald Trump was running the event, and the press were out to get Donald Trump. This is long before he was the president. And then they Googled her name, found my video, and found that she was born as a man. So that clip where I said, have you had I did this, was shown. I mean, I had friends in Australia and America saying, who's that gorgeous guy that you're talking to on the TV? And it went, I have no idea how many, you know, hits it's sitting on now, like 500,000 or whatever.
And the name was Takalova.
Jenna Takalova.
I mean, what a name, Takalova. You know, have you got your tackle?
Oh, I never noticed that.
I mean, I've seen you around TFI a lot of times and stuff like that. I mean, that's been a really good part of your life, and you know, some of the parties that I've been to, that you've been there as well. Aside from all the fun aspect, you've also got a much more serious role here as well, don't you?
Now, yes, yeah, now. So yeah, I've moved away from the media aspect and the MC work, you know, which was great.
Yeah.
But that's when Thailand had all this sort of inertia and momentum. You know, want to put on an event? Yeah, okay, like get sponsored. Blah 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 blah. Change times, and hopefully they'll come back. But now, yeah, I work for a company in Chiang Mai, but I'm based here in Pattaya because I do everything on the phone.
Yeah.
So, you know, essentially, I'm doing what I've always done. I'm listening, talking to people, and I use my voice to speak to people and give them assistance for the various things they're looking for.
So when you say that people, I mean, what sort of people call you? What's the sort of the background there?
Well, they come from all different countries, you know.
Okay.
But we get a lot of people from Canada and America, the UK, and then a smattering of European countries. And, you know, they're dealing with anxiety, depression, some of them trauma, maybe childhood trauma, and of course grief, you know. And that's all been exacerbated with COVID because people are, you know, staying at home and then that they're developing social anxiety.
Sure.
And then for some, instead of enjoying a bottle of, or a glass of wine, you know, with a dinner, they're reaching for a bottle of wine at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So, yeah, we have clients who come to us who identify themselves as addicts, but in the most cases, they're just trying to cope. You know, they're self-medicating how they know how. And for some people it's alcohol, and for some people it's Lazada. And I'm serious.
Yeah, well, I mean, I must admit, I have total respect for you for doing that, because, you know, I'm guessing, and we won't dig down too much into it, but guys, if you are, you know, you're interested in that aspect of what Paul deals with, you know, I will put an email address in the description below.
Okay.
And, you know, it doesn't cost you anything just to get in touch and have a chat and see what Paul can talk to you about.
Yeah,
but I'm guessing in some respects, on the other side, I don't want to go into too much detail, but possibly you're like at the end of their line maybe sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, by the time people reach out to me, you know, they often feel that they've tried everything, and my job is to give them hope, and also to let them understand that, you know, they fly across to Chiang Mai, and okay, at the moment we've got quarantine and all that stuff, but when they're sitting there with the other clients, these are the people who've got the same issues. So rather than having their partner or their family saying, "Oh, don't worry, you'll get over it," or let's go and play football, or let's go to the spa, which is just a diversion, it doesn't actually address anything. It just makes you feel better momentarily, a bit like a line of coke, right, or whatever, allegedly. So for the people who come to us, yeah, we're offering them hope and help them get their life back on track.
Well, fair play, my friend, fair play to that. And like I say, guys, you know, if you do want to get in touch, please, I will put Paul's email down and get in touch. So moving on from that side of things, I want you to think about you relaxing now. And, you know, you got one of those rare things called a day off. I know you don't really know what that is, but anyway, let's call it a day off. Where would you go? What would you do?
In Pattaya?
Anywhere, mate. You got a day off, what would you do? Where would be your go-to place? And ignore the fact that we're in the situation we're in. Let's talk about your normal times.
Okay. You know, I think, you know, we talked in part one about the infrastructure of Thailand, and, you know, sometimes in Pattaya, you know, the roads in Pattaya are, some roads are less desirable, you know, like that one in the town that's like a sort of no man's land, you know, the council won't take any responsibility.
Soy potholes.
The potholes. Dr. Ian Corness, he would say the potholes were so deep you could hear Peruvian folk musicians, you know. But my point is that when you move out of Thailand, you know, you can drive all the way to Chiang Rai, you know, and up to those areas. And it's beautiful. But I think if I was taking a break now, I'd probably go somewhere like Ayutthaya again, you know. I found that to be really, really calming, really nice place, you know. And, you know, when you want the nightlife, you come back to Pattaya, you know. You
mentioned in part one that one of your previous work employments was as a driving instructor.
Indeed, yeah.
So I guess the obvious question I have to ask you is, what do you reckon on the driving out here? Would you have got a few candidate passes?
Yeah, well, you know, I think I actually, you know, my answer might not be what you desire, because I think if people learn to drive here, I think that people in the UK drive in a bubble. You know, somebody comes up the inside, look at that idiot, you know?
Yeah.
But that guy's wife could be having a kid, could be giving birth.
Okay, yeah.
There might be a valid reason for that. So what I mean is that people tend to drive like that in the UK. They don't, so they're not as aware. Again, as someone once said, Thailand's the only place where you can get hit by a shop crossing the road. You know, so yeah, you're just careful, right?
I mean, obviously living here for so long, are you accustomed to the Thai spicy food? Is that something you can deal with, or do you try and swerve it?
Well, I think I always say I can, and then I keep meeting these mentalists, you know, Farangs and Thais, who just, you know, go way more than I would. But I think, you know, as you get older, you know, I don't seem to be able to cope with it so much. How about you?
Absolutely fine.
Yeah?
It's my go-to dish.
Really?
So you might have a better barn at the
well,
moment.
I was going to say,
hot food.
I read on the internet, so it must be true, that it makes your hair fall out if you had too much chili.
I don't know what you're on about. I mean, I guess the question has to be as well, though, Paul. I mean, you've been here a long time. You've seen significant changes during that period of time that you've been here. I mean, if you weren't in Thailand, where would you envisage that you would actually be if you weren't here? Where would you kind of think, do you know what? If I wasn't here, I'd probably go and live there.
Well, there has been times where I've felt that, you know, Thailand might not just always be the place. But I think it's always going to be Southeast Asia. You know, I think there's, I would love to, you know, discover more about Cambodia and Vietnam. But I guess, you know, the ultimate thing is that Thailand's not perfect, but you've got to focus on the good stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, do you think that the Asian side of you is because of travelling when you were so young? Do you think that left its stamp on you?
I think there's that, and, you know, Scotland is beautiful in a postcard. You know, it's a cold place to live, you know, and quite frankly, I don't like it. I don't mind, you know, sitting here and sweating my whatever off, but, yeah.
So, in part one, your wonderful brother gave me some little bits of snippets on you, which we discussed. And I suppose it's only fair if I'd say to you, you know, is there anything you'd like to share about your brother that perhaps he wants to keep under the duvet? I mean, you know.
Well, you know,
tit for tat and all that kind of stuff, brotherly love.
Nah, well, you see, he's older than me, and the one thing that I have learnt in Thailand is to respect your elders. So I won't do that on camera. But,
damn! You see now, Dave, you're watching this and you're thinking, I'm going to kill him. He thinks I'm going to kill him.
No. That's really not me.
Really? That's not what you said off camera. I can't believe it.
I'll show you that photo again.
Well, I can't believe he did that. I mean, that's incredible. I mean, that's like blackmail material.
It is. Right.
We're watching you, Dave. Don't worry. We got your card marked. Listen, my friend, it's been fantastic talking to you. It really, really has. It's been incredible. I mean, I guess, you know, when you've had the kind of lifestyle that you've had here, and particularly with the entertainment industry and the nightlife, the current situation right now is obviously devastating to everybody, but in particular to that industry. I guess to wrap it up, really, what's your feeling in terms of when do you think we might be in a situation where I can walk into a bar and see you with a mic in your hand saying, hey guys, how are we doing? It's back to normal.
Yeah. I think realistically, you know, it's going to be 6 months, a year, maybe even longer. You know, as I said earlier, you know, there was so much momentum before, and now to try and get that back and to get people's confidence back, people confident about traveling, you know, and okay, there's all those restrictions at the moment, and they will go in time. But the problem is that the mindset's changed. People are working from home and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know, but I certainly hope it does come back. And, you know, I don't think Paddy will ever be what it was, but it'll come back as version 2. Do you
think version 2, Walking Street, will have changed? There's so much talk about it.
Yeah. It's bound to, right? Yeah. But, you know, it's interesting, right? There has been so many changes. How many people from Bangkok, Thais, now owned a second property here in Pattaya?
Yeah.
And 10 years ago, like Pattaya was like a bad word to them.
Yeah.
So Thai people are starting to understand that, Pattaya has got a lot to offer. So it's not just the international tourism, but, you know, it's all the other aspects. Yeah.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Well, listen, my friend, it's been a pleasure.
Okay, cheers.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank
Guys,
you.
Paul Strachan, he really is one of Pattaya's best characters here. And you'll see him dotting around, and especially if there's a lot of female company, he'll be in there somewhere having a look around with his microphone trying to get another radio interview. All right, but that's it, guys. Thank you very much indeed for watching the Coffee Chat show here. And guys, as always, please remember, hit the subscribe button and also the bell icon if you'd like to be notified when we bring out a new video. Check out our Discord group. There's over 3,000 people just like you guys that love this wonderful city that Paul and I can call our home. And so get on there and start talking, making friends. You never know, you might even meet each other when you come out here and go off on your lads' day, and there's someone that will come with you. And guys, have a look at our members area. More and more members are joining each and every week, which is fantastic. And trust me, when things reopen, I'll make sure it's worth your while. Guys, thank you very much for watching indeed. As always, wherever you are in the world, please stay safe.